Good morning, I'm Robert Tan. From your wallet to the wider economy, join us as we follow the money. 3 children were killed, 20 wounded. Now Congress wants to ban kids from social media. Now who benefits when government tells children to log off? And joining us this morning is Attorney Marvin Dino, American Chamber of Commerce Senior Advisor. Good morning, Attorney Marvin, and welcome to Follow the Money.
Good morning, Robert. So first,
thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for the invitation. So first, the Tacloban. Let's view the Tacloban tragedy.
Yeah, because you were in this debate, entrenched in this debate long before the Tacloban issue tragedy happened. Now, before the headlines, before the Congress moved for this total ban of kids under 15 on social media, what has AmCham been saying all along? Why has nobody been listening even before that?
Yeah, before the tragedy, Robert, everyone was talking about taxing and the economic growth of the digital economy.
Yes.
So you have the public and the private sector talking about taxation and market access. The tragedy shifted this hyper-focus to digital governance,
Yes.
which the Chamber has been pushing for and advocating for the longest time.
Why do you think it has fallen to deaf ears for such a time, and then when the tragedy happens, then again it's a reactive response to this?
Well, I think, Robert, when we talk about government, it's all about financial. It's all about revenue making. It's all about finances, and sad to say that the Filipino culture is pretty reactive in terms of policy.
Now, AmCham wants a carefully designed regulation, not a blanket ban or total ban. Now, what does that actually look like in practice, and where does the business community draw the line between protecting the children and, of course, protecting market access? Because we all know it's still a business.
Well, the position of AmCham is against a total social media ban because first, it's fundamentally anti-poor. If you're going to ban it across the Filipino youth. Second, it would look like in practice is like a systemic risk mitigation model, which sits on 2 pillars. So you have age verification on device and app level, like Apple and Google. Then you have restructuring of the algorithm, design or the business model. So AmCham's position is not to maintain the status quo, but to introduce changes that promotes the interest of the Filipino youth, and that's tweaking the algorithm, placing safety designs for our youth.
Because it's just a tool. So
yeah, it's just a tool.
Yeah. Now, with this tragedy and the reactive response by the government for a total ban, do you think this steers us away from the actual structural problem, not just on social media, but what happens in how education is a community thing, how the parents teach their children, how it's being taught in school. So it's like a domino effect. It's not just just ban totally. Parang you quit cigarette right now. Parang ganun lang, the next day. So what does AmCham really want to happen?
Well, AmCham really wants to put in the structural safety net for our Filipino youth. The total social media ban is a reactionary policy of the government. What AmCham wants is we provide a structural safety net that allows the youth to reap the benefits of the digital economy, at the same time safeguarding their mental health and their future.
Now, if we look at Australia was the very first country to ban children under 16 or 15 from social media, but it removed around 4.7 million accounts. But the regulator found underage use remains significant. There's also a problem in the community because parents are also involved in this, that nagkakaroon ng mga fake accounts.
Circumvention.
Tinutulungan sila. So, no country really has proved proven that this really works. So why the Philippines? How can it work in the Philippines if we see other countries who are more developed than us and it's not working?
Well, what we can learn from Australia is it's legally unenforceable. Following with the implementation, 3 months after enactment of the legislation, a research was cited that 85% of the teens of Australia are still in the web. So what we can learn from this to be successful, we need a targeted approach, a systemic approach, an approach that changes the business model of the tech platforms. So we move age verification to device and app level. Then we build safety nets regarding the algorithm. We reduce the addictive features of the algorithm, the unlimited scrolling, the targeted ads for anyone below 18.
Now, if this bill, once this bill passes, if it does pass, you've already also talked about the tools of age verification. Tech companies and contractors will line up to sell us the solution. Now, who decides who gets those contracts, who profits, and who watches the watchers?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Well, if we're talking about the total ban, the total ban inadvertently allows third-party government would-be contractors to sell.
It creates another
room for business, room for profit. And then you have the existing virtual private networks. So they're the ones who's going to benefit the total social media ban. However, if the government will push for the regulated legislation that we were talking about, this is for the child's protection, generally for the child's protection.
But how do you think that would work, especially here in the Philippines, when the advancement of technology and the use of AI and other tech solutions, we're still kind of in the infant stage?
Well, we push the responsibility and the obligation to the tech platforms. They're the ones who made the business model, and they're the ones who can change the source, who can change the architecture. If they don't want fines or penalties and they want to keep doing business, they have to change the business model.
Now, if you look at the social platforms today, Meta's own regional policy director warned the ban could drive teenagers into unregulated corners of the internet. So where do they go? If we push children off regulated platforms, where will they go? I mean, where else in the unregulated system? So what are we offering instead if this total ban happens? Where can the kids go now?
Well, I agree with the statement of the regional director. The blanket ban would push our youth to migrate to unregulated, unmonitored locations in the dark web. We would push them making fake accounts, shared login accounts, and buying virtual private networks, like the one that happened to Australia. The proposal that we are advocating for is designing the current system safe by design for the children, because, Robert, with the blanket ban, we're pushing them to unregulated space. But then if we compel the tech companies na you change your design, the system is regulated, mas protektado yung mga bata natin, yung mga minors natin, if that's the approach. That's my reservation regarding the total ban.
There's still a lot of problems that need to be ironed out. But before we discuss more on that, Marvin will just take a short break. We'll be right back. Keep following the money. Welcome back to Follow the Money. You're still tuned into our discussion with Attorney Marvin Dino, American Chamber of Commerce Senior Advisor. Now, before the break, Attorney, we were talking about who's accountable, who should be doing what, who should be, taking care of this. But, if platforms agreed to safety assessments, under pressure from lawmakers and lawsuits, if it takes a law to make them act on the current things that need to be done over the internet, how much do you think that they actually care about our children and not just the business of profiting?
Well, they don't. Let's agree that they don't, okay?
Okay.
These global tech companies are established for profit and engineered to maximize user user engagement. So, if they do aggressive self-regulation, thank you. But then, with the current developments in our country, I think this is the right time to legislate structural reforms regarding their business model. Mahirap kasi ito eh. It's their business model,
Yes.
but then the impact would be shouldered by the government, by the Filipino people. When in fact, yung obligation to change the business model must be coming from the tech companies.
Yeah. Because each social media platform have their own specific community standards
Yes.
that are supposed to be followed by the community who's using that platform. But it's autonomous to them. Kung ano what they feel is the right thing or the wrong thing, sila lang yon. But if you look at it, let's say across countries, Australia's culture is different from the Philippine
Yes.
culture, different from the cultures of other countries in Asia and other European countries. So how can it be better set to the standards of the culture and the local, mindset of those here in the Philippines?
Well, what we always advocate, we tweak the algorithm.
Yeah.
We tweak the algorithm specific to the Filipino culture, the geography of the Philippines, and yung current educational system natin dito sa Pilipinas. It's not ideal.
Yeah.
There's a big room for improvement,
Yeah.
right? But then, if they tweak the algorithm, reduce the addictive features, infinite scrolling,
Yeah.
targeted ads to the minors, I think it's the very first institutional step of reforming the model, the business model, making it safe for the Filipino youth.
Because one thing that hasn't really been talked about really fully is that it is extremely addicting.
Yes.
Not only for kids, but
Adults.
even adults like us, we see it. The difference, let's say 15 years ago when it just started, when you go to a restaurant, you see people talking.
They're still talking.
But now,
They're on their phones.
They're on their phones. You see it,
Yeah.
even not only the younger generation. So when the argument is that it's only a tool, how can we now make it better and educate the people using it to use it in a better way?
Well, if we're talking about minors, we design it for the use of minors. Like I always said, we tweak the addictive features. We make sure that the platform is better used for communicating, for getting credible information for the use of minors. Because the approach must be holistic.
Yes.
We can put the obligation to tech platforms, but then
Has to be a two-way
as a
street.
society,
Yes.
yes. You need government intervention. You have the parents.
The parents.
Yeah,
We
yes,
see the
the
parents
So
seem
it-
to be part of the problem.
Yes. So it needs to be a
Yeah.
holistic approach.
Now, here in the Philippines, nearly 438,000 Filipino accounts were compromised in a single quarter in 2025. 19 government websites hacked in a single day that same year. Now, this is the government that wants to build an age verification database for 30 million children. Who protects that data? How can we ensure that that data is protected, especially these are minors?
Well, if we're going to pursue the total ban, no one's going to protect it. That's why our proposal is you move the age verification to the device or to the app layer, so that no Filipino parent or no Filipino minor would be submitting their identification.
Yes.
Next, the algorithm design.
Yes.
We push the obligation to the tech companies. This proposal is a zero procurement proposal for the government, because we can all agree that if you build a centralized database for 30 million kids, that's a national security risk.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, it's an unnecessary cost for government because one thing is building it, but how do you maintain it?
Oh, yeah, of course, especially right now. Imagine if you look at that big of a database, you need a really big server. It's going to cost a lot.
Yes.
If you're familiar, there was a problem with the eGov app.
Yes.
Because hindi nakayanan yung hindi
The
makabayad
cloud, yeah.
supposedly
With
sa
the vendor,
subscription,
yeah.
di ba? Sa vendor. So, this is an addition to that. So, do you think it's going to create more of a problem than a solution?
Well, it's going to create more problems because in addition to that, we can't deny that there are, bad elements that would really would
use that information.
Yeah, and attack the centralized database.
Now, you've argued that everything, social media, everything that we use online, technology, AI, they're all tools, again.
Yes.
But in terms of education, it seems that there's a big gap. For instance, if you look at a child, let's say, in Metro Manila, BGC, they have parents, they have digital literacy programs, a safety net. But a child in Tacloban or in far-flung provinces who uses the internet as well, they often have none of that. Same internet, same dangers, but different protection. Now, will this bill, if passed, protect all Filipino children or only those already being protected?
So I was saying, Robert, so if the government will go for the legislation of total ban, it's fundamentally anti-poor. It would cover the kids in BGC, Makati, and Quezon City who have parents and who are financial affluent to buy VPNs to circumvent the ban. But then, if we do the targeted approach, the one that AmCham is advocating for, we get to protect the children from the far-flung areas of Ilocos, Mindanao, Tacloban, Cebu. We're building a structural safety net na hindi lang pang mayaman. It protects every Filipino despite of the zip code.
Isa pa yan, you mentioned VPN. Not everybody really knows that. That allows you to circumvent the internet when you're in different country. Yung IP address mo is going to be masked. So, again, problem.
Yeah. So, if
parang dami stumbling blocks.
Dami. If the kid from BGC can buy a VPN, the blanket ban would disenfranchise the Filipino youth in the provinces from the benefits of the digital economy. Second consequence, they will be pushed to make fake accounts, to use shared logins, and to avail free malicious virtual private networks. Kompromiso na yung data nila eh. The total ban would not only be disenfranchising the Filipino youth, but then you would be pushing them to unregulated places of the internet.
Let's go back. You mentioned the problems of a reactive response of a total ban that usually masks the structural problems on the ground. If we look at the data, only around 4,000 counselors served around 27 million public school students. That's a ratio of about one counselor to around 6,700 students. The global standard is 1 to 250. That's a huge gap. And to top it all off, you have teachers who are burnt out, already juggling 5 roles beyond teaching. It's not realistic that we can put a counselor in every school tomorrow or give teachers the bandwidth to spot a child in crisis. Now, again, is banning social media a solution or just a distraction of the structural problems that we need to address first?
Yeah. The total social media ban is a distraction. It's a distraction, okay?
It could be both.
Yeah, as you said, you have teachers who are also parents, who are also themselves. So let's divide 24 hours with the daily activities. We can't have our teachers cyber patrolling 50 or 100 plus students. Okay? Now, go with the risk of being redundant, Robert. The structure that AmCham is proposing, it would allow our Filipino youth to reap the benefits of digital economy. At the same time, providing them a structural digital safety net with the use of these social media platforms.
So you really have to teach them from the ground up because, after Australia's ban, teenagers felt more isolated than they were safer. No country has ever cracked the enforcement of this. The other Asian countries, wala pang talagang real success or any data that could say that this would be a successful endeavor. Now, if the law cannot really override social belonging, what policy actually can?
Well, Robert, we cannot legislate social belonging, but then what we can legislate is the business model. We can compel these tech platforms to improve the business model. A business model that would allow our Filipino youth to talk to each other, to go see each other, and to feel belongingness.
We still haven't covered a lot of ground in terms of what needs to be done. I wish we had more time, but before we let you go, Attorney, we'll go to the rapid fire segment. You just have to answer yes or no.
Okay.
No need to explain your answer. Easy lang naman.
Okay po.
Okay, let's start with this. If your own child were 15 or below, would you let them have social media account? Yes or no?
No.
You have kids?
Yeah.
They don't have?
They don't have.
Okay. Now, has social media become too powerful to regulate voluntarily?
Yes.
Would you trust the government with your own child's digital identity? Yes or no?
No.
How about your own?
No.
No. Now, will AI make this law obsolete before it's fully implemented? Because technology is fast.
With a
Yes or
total
no?
ban, yes.
Okay. Now, if this is a child protection bill, is this a child protection bill or a political accountability shield?
Total ban, it's a political shield.
And finally, Attorney Marvin, now technology will change. Platforms will change, laws will change, and we see it. It's moving faster than ever. But if there's one principle that should guide every decision we make about children in the digital age, what is it?
Reform the business model towards the interest of the Filipino youth. We do not exclude them. We do not punish them.
So we really have to take into consideration the culture of the country that the social media platform is in.
Yes, because our youth is the human capital after the next human is the Philippines' next human
our next
capital.
leaders, so we really have to protect them, no?
Yes.
Okay, on that note, Attorney Marvin, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Thank you for your insights and hopefully the advocacy of, maybe not a total ban or maybe partial focus, but something has to be done to protect our
It must be regulated. The government needs to intervene.
Okay, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Robert.
And that's all for today. I'm Robert Tan. Thanks for watching. Keep it here on the Bilyonaryo News Channel and always follow the money.